I'm Executive Director of the Florida Literacy Coalition. It's my pleasure to welcome you today to this session that's going to provide some information about a grant opportunity that we have available. This is something that we've been doing for going on 10 years now through the generous support of Wells Fargo. So a big thank you to Wells Fargo for making this possible. These are grants that are made to adult education literacy, ESL programs, family literacy programs throughout the state to integrate financial education into their curriculum. And in addition to making the grants available, the program does provide professional development opportunities as well as networking opportunities and technical support to local programs for the good work that they're doing. So we're going to be sharing with you a little bit about the grant opportunity, a little bit about the need in this area, and also about some of the outcomes that programs in the past have been able to achieve through this initiative. We very much appreciate all the programs that we've worked with in the past, and this is an initiative in which programs that have been funded in the past can reapply. So I think some of you may be in that situation, and we'd love to hear from you toward the end of the session if you want to share a little bit about your programs in the past. So with that, if you have any questions throughout, please feel free to include them in the chat, and we will have a little bit of time carved out at the end of the session as well for Q&A. And if you're interested in muting yourself at that time and verbally asking those questions, that's fine too. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Allison Bell, who is our Health and Financial Literacy Coordinator, joined us in that position this summer. So Allison.
Hello, everybody. So I'm just going to pull up the presentation. Okay. Whoop. Oh, there we go. Okay. So thank you to everyone for joining us today. We're going to talk about our financial literacy grant program. And then, like Greg said, at the end, we'll have some questions. So just want to start by defining the need in Florida in terms of financial literacy education. About 34% of Floridians with credit cards paid only the minimum during the last year. And we also know about 19% of Floridians spend more than their income. When we look at students we work with, that statistic is likely going to be higher as well. Also in Florida, only 31% of people can score 80% or higher on a basic financial literacy test.
Why you gotta ask you?
So we do really see there's a need for everyone, not just our adult education students. From a national perspective, 54% of Americans report being worried they don't have enough money saved, and about 60% of Americans report they do not have enough to cover an unexpected $1,000 expense, like if they go to the emergency room or they need a car repair. About 48% report being worried about paying their bills. So if we talk about the impact, the positive impact of financial literacy education, we see it really benefits all Americans, but it benefits even more women, decreasing the chances for being financially fragile. And we also see, regardless of educational level, financially literate respondents are more likely to plan for retirement than non-financially literate respondents. So it's a myth that just because someone graduated from high school or even college that they have any understanding necessarily of financial literacy. We really could all benefit from education, but we do know that those with least education do see the greatest impact. That can make a big difference for everyone's fragility. And fragility just means one's ability to handle unexpected situations and plan for the future. So some results from our previous grant program. We do ask organizations to distribute pre and post financial literacy assessments. So that's where the data was gathered from. We see in the 2021 and 2022 grant cycle, 99% of students found the information helpful, and 99% also said they would recommend the program to friends or family. 87% of students said they did share information they learned with others, and 38% of students established a new checking or savings account. So that's a great concrete indicator that students are not only learning financial skills, but they're implementing them as well. Also, by the end of the course, about 80% of students had developed a budget, and 92% said they feel more comfortable managing their finances. So we're all really proud of the work our grantees have done. We've had great results. So regarding who we serve ESOL, adult education, and family literacy programs in Florida. So far, we've served 5,870 students, and that number is always going up. Our purpose is to help adult learners gain knowledge they need to navigate financial choices and to plan for the future. So how do we do this? We like to take what we call a contextualized approach to learning. So we help students acquire basic math, literacy, and language skills. And then while we also help them implement financial literacy. And this year we'll be giving 8 grants of up to $5,000 each to organizations throughout the state. We also, excuse me. Okay, so eligibility criteria. You must be a 501c C3 nonprofit or government-based agency. You must provide adult literacy or ESOL instruction via classes or individual tutoring. And you must be within one of the 46 Florida counties served by Wells Fargo. So those counties are all listed in our guidelines, which I will go over in more detail in later in the presentation. And then for reporting guidelines, we have the pre and post assessments that I mentioned, as well as a student behavioral survey and an instructor survey. So we can get some feedback on how everyone liked the course and try to improve in the future. Okay, so application details. All grant materials must be submitted electronically. I can show you our website. So hopefully everyone is familiar with it. It's floridaliteracy.org. So if you go to our homepage, you'll see right here, there is the information about this financial literacy grant. So under application process, this is where all the important documents are. We have the application template, the guidelines, a checklist, and a frequently asked questions document for some questions that we get often. This is the webinar, which you're attending right now, and I will be posting the slides as well as the recording to YouTube. And the deadline is October 18th at 5 p.m. Okay. So the narrative, it's a 5-page maximum, including the budget. So we do ask that you keep the section headings in the guideline, in the application template, and we want you to be as detailed as possible. So we want to give our selection committee a good idea of exactly what the program will look like. Who will it be serving? How many hours will you be providing instruction? And what specifically will you be spending the funds on? You want to make sure you have objectives that are measurable. So how many students will you be serving and how exactly will you serve them? And again, just try to be as specific as possible and make sure those objectives come back to the budget so the committee can really see your vision. Returning grantees also, if you've already been a part of this program, you should provide some details of outcomes achieved in the prior grant year. And this could be anything. This could be photos as well. You can attach additional documents. And so here's the application. There is a link to it in the guidelines here on the website. It just asks for some basic information, your organization, and the budget, some financial information, number of people served, etc. It's pretty straightforward. And then here, this is where you'll drop the narrative and budget, current operating budget, and then this is optional, photos or additional information about your organization. Okay, so regarding the budget, we do give you this example for formatting. We want you to detail how the funds were used. Oh, so we have had several situations where intended use of the funding wasn't very clear to the committee. So that's a good thing to focus on. How will your money be used to support your objectives? You can spend up to $1,000 on equipment and $450 to attend this year's Florida Literacy Conference as well. And then regarding program expectations, we expect you to implement a financial literacy curriculum with students. We expect you to form community collaborations and partnerships. Now, these don't have to be new. Many of our grantee organizations work with representatives that they have established connections with, or they have a representative from Wells Fargo come to discuss financial literacy with the students. And we also want you to incorporate a project-based learning activity. So we'll talk more about what that means in a moment. We don't have a set number of hours required for instruction, but most of our grantees spend about average 20 hours per class. Okay, so project-based learning. It can be done on any topic, not just financial literacy. During project-based learning, we put all our learners in realistic situations where they are problem solving, gaining skills, and gaining the knowledge themselves, hands-on. It's a great way to teach students because they can really see how what they're learning applies to their life. So here are some examples of project-based learning we've seen students do before. You might host a financial reality fair. So students can be assigned an identity and then they go around managing the finances for this fictional person. Or they also may go as themselves, write down their income and their expenses, go around to different stations, paying rent, finding a job, transportation, etc. There's also mock banking activities where students play different roles in a bank, such as the customer, the teller, or the loan officer. So through this activity, students learn how a bank functions and what information they might need going to the bank. Group research projects are another classic example. Have students do presentations for each other, create videos, songs. It can really be anything you want or anything the students want or are interested in. We have had students come up with small business plans. We've even had a small business started. It was a t-shirt business. So a lot of great skills go into starting this business, and you can do something simple too, just like developing a brochure or information to distribute to people in the community. So there is a great website called PBL Works. It is focused on the K through 12 level, but there are still a lot of projects here that might be useful for your students. So I just put in the keyword financial here and did a little search, and we got some project ideas. How do I know if a vehicle is a good deal? Some basic budgeting. A lot of these projects involve math, numeracy, and financial literacy, of course. So this might be a good resource when you're brainstorming activities. They also have online training on using project-based activities in the classroom. And we have previous projects listed on our website as well. Okay. Oops. So, how does FLC support you as a grantee? We will have quarterly conference calls and webinars. This gives us the opportunity for grantees to discuss what they're doing, what resources they're using, what's worked, what hasn't. And then I'll choose a topic to go a little bit more in depth on. It might be a classroom activity, a PowerPoint presentation, or other general resources for teachers. We do provide training and technical support for individual programs. So if you do need help getting your program set up, or if you have any questions as you go along, I will be here to answer them. And we have general resources and curriculum, of course, on our website as well. And then finally, the annual Florida Literacy Conference has a lot of financial literacy information in it as well. So you'll be given, that money can be used to attend the conference, and then you can learn from us in that format additionally. Okay, so hands-on banking is a project-based learning program that Wells Fargo has developed. It's free, there's no advertising, there's no setup, so you can just go right in and look at the curriculum. They have curriculum for all ages, English and Spanish. And I do want to point out, though, as we're talking about resources, they are not meant for your most basic student. So we encourage hands-on banking be used for students with a little bit of a higher starting level with financial literacy. There are many resources on our website as well, of course, like I said. And as a part of the hands-on baking, there are instructor guides that you can find online, and I can send printed versions to you as well if you'd like. So, reporting requirements. We do ask you submit a brief mid-year report as well as an end-of-year report. I'll then compile this information, send it to Wells Fargo so they can see all the great work you've been a part of. As a part of this reporting, we do have the pre and the post assessments I mentioned earlier, and they're available in paper or online. And they're also available in English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole. And finally, there's also the student behavioral survey and the teacher evaluation. So just a couple of resources I'd like to highlight. Number one, I showed you our website, floridaliteracy.org. We've got financial literacy web resources like hands-on banking, I just mentioned, and the National Endowment for Financial Education. They have lots of wonderful curriculums and resources to help you along, so you don't have to start from scratch. And that's just a basic overview of our program. So if we have any current grantees here who'd like to say a few words about their experience with the program, we'd love to hear from you.
Or former grantees.
Or former grantees, anyone who's experienced this initiative.
Go
Hello.
ahead.
Oh, hi. I'm Michelle Honor. I am grant manager at OSO and also a nighttime adult literacy teacher. So I'm both. We are a former grantee, and so I think this grant is amazing because one of the things that we have learned in our classes is, the other students have learned of like building their credit, the importance of not just applying if they are interested in building credit, applying for.
Michelle, we're having a little hard time
Oh,
hearing.
let me switch.
Okay, there you go.
To a different speaker.
Now we're not hearing you at all.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
So what our students have learned is the importance of building credit Also not just applying to any kind of credit card. So they learned the benefits of reward points and the importance of paying off the credit card balance before it closed, and also the important, also letting them know the different banks that are around in the area that has and the benefits of having a checking account and a savings account. So those are some of the things that our clients, our students have learned in our financial literacy class that wouldn't be possible without the great support given by literacy and Wells Fargo. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else?
Yeah. Hey, Greg, it's Lucas.
Hi,
How are
Luke.
you?
Good.
Good to see you. Yeah, so everybody, I work at Miami-Dade College, and I worked for a couple of years with the health literacy grant at a different campus. And then I moved to another campus, and that health literacy initiative stayed where I was. So I thought to maybe investigate trying to bring the financial literacy grant to the Wolfson campus where I am downtown. And Greg, I think you answered this last year, and I'm just asking if anything's changed. One institution can have both grants, the health and the financial. That's the same.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So no, it was a wonderful experience with the health literacy initiative. Is everybody here familiar with the IET framework? Have you all encountered that? So it was really nice because we started a CNA program, a certified nursing assistant, and it just by chance we were able to sort of integrate the health literacy into that program. So it was really nice. And we also have a sort of entrepreneurship IET that we're trying to push. And so if we're able to obtain the financial literacy grant, maybe we can integrate that into the entrepreneurship. It might be a nice combination. But it is, it's a big institution, and it's hard to get grant applications to all the people that I need to get them to and all the signatures I need. So I'll try. But
Okay.
thank
We
you.
appreciate that. We hope you do apply because you've always done great work with the health literacy grant, and I hope that you can
Thank
get
you.
it
Yeah.
through in time. Sometimes we do extend the application deadline. We really sort of do that based on the circumstances and how many applications we get. So it's not unusual that we'll extend it for a week or two at the end, just to keep that in mind if you have to work it through a bureaucratic process there.
Indeed. And I think somebody maybe put in the chat how money is spent. And I think we came up with a nice way to divvy up the funds so that the office staff, the students, and an instructor could benefit. So we tried to give a part-time instructor who took this on, a stipend, maybe $100 a week or something for lesson planning and things like that. So the instructor benefited. We bought supplies for the office, and then we would put together what we called like a study pack for the participants. We would get them a English, because this is for our ESOL population. So we would get them a dictionary, calculator, USB, binders, folders, put it all together. The Florida Blue was one of our partners in the community, so they would give us nice bags to put everything in. And so, the students, the office staff, and the teacher benefited. So it was a nice setup, I think, for the budget.
Very good. Yeah. And to that question, you can also use, in addition to paying teachers and, doing things of that nature, field trips, if there are costs related to that, any kind of resource materials related to the initiative. There is a project-based learning component, as Allison mentioned. So you can sort of budget some funds for that, so that students might have a little bit of a budget to work with as they're working through their projects. So there's a variety of different kinds of things that the dollars can be used for. And I know some programs already have funds set up to cover their teacher costs, but others don't. So it's certainly any costs related to, salaries related to the teachers or administrators and so forth, as it relates to this program, are certainly allowable costs as well. So is there anybody else that has any other questions or anything they'd like to share?
Joe Sinney from Learn to Read in St. Johns County. We're a past recipient. We're a past recipient of the grant, and I think it's wonderful. I mean, especially we have a lot of English for speakers of other languages students. They come from backgrounds and countries where there might not be a real trust of the banking system. So this really does help. Wells Fargo last year, when we had it, they came as a representative, put on a very nice class, and for hands-on banking concepts. We've also had a financial expert come in who's written a book, and the students were able to purchase for minimal cost an actual workbook that worked on their budgeting, their credit, and everything else. So thank you very much for FLC and for Wells Fargo putting it together.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
I see. Yeah, Michelle, you did you had a question with regard to whether we could hear you. I think we could hear parts of it and in and out a little bit. I think, yeah, the issues you're having with your headphones kind of limited that a little bit, but I think we got the general gist of what you were saying.
Okay, just making sure, because I was able to find a new headset, so.
Okay, was there anything you'd like to add? I mean,
No.
Okay.
No, that was it. Just wanted to make sure that, you know, just again, thank you for everything. But yeah, our students are really grateful, and a lot of them have been able to, you know, get that checking account that they've lacked and save some money. So that's just something great that came out of the financial literacy classes.
Okay, thanks for that. Yeah, there's so much that can be covered with this. I mean, you know, talking about certainly basic banking and budgeting and things of that nature, but programs have really, you know, taken this and kind of to the next level and really looked at things that may not be typically covered, you know, in a lesson plan that touches on financial literacy or financial education, and really kind of taking a look at, you know, what ways you can save for the future, for retirement, or for purchasing a home or other major purchases, college education, things of that nature. What are some of the tools available and resources to be able to do that? Looking at, you know, avoiding financial scams, which are out there and prey upon people quite often who have limited resources. And so there's a lot of different kinds of areas, understanding credit, of course, and, you know, why that's important, and how you can check your credit scores and improve your credit score and things of that nature. So, you know, this is really something that we all work with, and to be able to integrate this in a meaningful way as people are developing their adult education, literacy, and language skills, you know, is a real plus, and it's worked. We've got, you know, 9 years worth of data now that shows that it works pretty well. So we certainly encourage you to apply if you feel this is a good fit for your organization. Are there any other questions before we adjourn?
Hey, Greg, I'm sorry, I just saw your question in the chat a few minutes ago, asking us to discuss a little bit. Usually Veronica Pavone Baker, our program director, will be on, but she's actually tied up with the workplace literacy. So real quick, per your question, just kind of what we've done this year. She gave a little bit of insight for me. Basically, how our program ran is we currently have about 40 students participating in the financial literacy course. We have it available online and in person, depending on the needs of the individual students. The course is built in our learning management system, Canvas, excuse me, that is kind of a learning management system that a lot of public schools use it, for those that aren't aware of what it is. But the students can easily access assignments, presentations, and activities. We started a financial talk series where we had guest speakers come in from different places in the local banking community, whether it be Wells Fargo, Wintrust Bank, Fifth Third. They discussed topics like budgets, savings, credit scores, and even those that were interested, there was a portion on starting your own business and entrepreneurialism as well. There have been 6 sessions so far this year. The talks are open to all of our ESL students, so they're all have the access to the program as well. And they've also been working on group project presentations. They're researching various topics and creating a presentation and sharing them with the other class. They also create a financial flyer with important information about finances to distribute to their community, their communities and networks as well. So, so it's obviously a it's been a very successful project and grant for us, and thank you, Greg, and the rest of the coalition for continuing to support us in these ways. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Brandon. Appreciate that. Okay, well, I don't see any other questions in the chat here. So we'll go ahead and adjourn and look forward to hopefully hearing from you. And if you have any questions with regard to the application or anything else, just let us know. Allison, did you have anything else that you wanted to share?
I think that's it. Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, very good. You all have a good afternoon.
You
Thanks a
too.
lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.